Hi, welcome to September monthly chat for the Children of Light. Today is September 7th, 2025. We're going to be talking about a couple different items, mainly talking about folks getting involved in the event and helping put that on. We may do some chat about some gathering stuff and maybe some processes. Um, Go ahead and turn it over to Laura.
Okay, I've been looking for locations for next year's conference, and I'm kind of zeroing in on Boulder, Colorado. In fact, I'm going to rent a car and drive up there on Thursday to see a place called Adventure Lodge, which they abbreviate as A Lodge. And it's kind of a rustic looking place, and they've got a variety of accommodations, including cabins and tent sites. So I'm going to go up there and take a look and check out some other nearby places, restaurants, and other hotels just to see where everything's sort of located while I'm there. So I'm doing that. Uh, the September newsletter just went out. So if you haven't received it, let us know and we'll make sure you get it via email. What else? Holistic shows. September, October are good months for metaphysical type shows, body, mind, spirit expos, that kind of thing. There's one coming up in Castle Rock. Hi, Lisa. And Alicia, excuse me. There's one coming up in Castle Rock the last weekend in September. Unfortunately, I can't do it because I'm flying to Chicago to see my family. There's another one in Aurora, Colorado, the in November, mid-November, and Karen Panic lives in Aurora, so she may be interested in doing that show. There's also a Body, Mind, Spirit Expo in Denver. I'm not quite sure the dates of that one. Joanne's doing a big one in a suburb of Chicago, end of September. So I mention these because these are all places where we can probably put out a flyer or a business card or a postcard, looking for help in designing those kinds of things. I did a flyer for this past conference. I could probably play with that and rework it and have that. Um, but it would be nice if we had maybe a postcard or a business card that we can just put various places, not just at shows, but just even, if somebody would let us put it on a counter in a metaphysical bookstore or a natural food store, on a bulletin board.
It,
Just,
it
we
doesn't
just
just
need to
have to
start
be those
getting,
kind of, it doesn't just have to be those kind of places. There's spiritual
no,
people
it doesn't. It doesn't.
looking.
But we just need to start, getting ourselves out there, getting
Yeah.
the word out and just letting people know that we're here.
Well, if I remember correctly, the way Joe did it was pretty much word of mouth at the very beginning, obviously, because he didn't have any internet or any of that. He just talked to the people that he knew. We could do the same thing. Um, they weren't all metaphysical folks. They weren't all love, life, and lighters. In the Muggle world, there's spiritual people everywhere. So if we get outside of the box, then we will discover new things. Um, Speaking of Karen, here she comes. Um, you know, Stretching our limitations is the goal. And that causes us to learn, and learning causes us to grow. So, stretching out of our comfort level, talking to everybody. I've been at the veterinary hospital talking to uh, vet technicians because I had a pagan shirt on. Had nothing to do with what we do, but we had a really wonderful conversation about angels and guides and all kinds of cool stuff. And they got some interest, and they've been on the site. I sent them the book, the whole 9 yards. But it's a matter of getting those things out there on a regular. So
Plus, we have platforms and that we didn't have years ago.
Yeah.
We have YouTube. We've got there's just a number, Facebook, Instagram.
TikTok, Facebook Reels,
We didn't have
Instagram,
any of that
Reddit,
30
um,
years ago when we were getting
yeah,
started.
X
Um,
or Twitter or whatever. You know,
yeah, and
I've got an
new
account. I've
ones.
never
There's
been
new
on it.
ones all the time. Coming up this year and next year, and so
Right.
I'm just thinking that we need to sort of educate ourselves about those and take advantage of them. Um, I'm
We didn't
looking at
have that.
something called Substack, where I'm going to start writing a blog.
Excellent.
And yeah, so there's just new things to look at. We
Yeah.
need more people to help. It's really kind of been Dave, Diane, and me.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be nice if we had some more assistance in looking for a place. Just get a hold of, if you're watching the video, just get a hold of us and either myself or Laura on either Facebook, or if you have my phone number, just text me. Um, we have the areas that we want to look in. We have the criteria that we're looking for, and we'll see where we can end up. And we want to kind of stay in the center of the U.S. because it's easier for everybody coming from all around. Like, for instance, we have Lisa and Alicia in the chat room, and Alicia is in the in the
Midwest,
Midwest,
Midwest.
up in the north, and Alicia is in Southern California. So that's quite a stretch. So they meet in the middle in Colorado, which they did last June. So it just makes it easier. Plus, Denver is an easy place to get to. They've got planes coming in from everywhere. So that's the whole idea there. Um, Anything else on that?
I just was going to say that Boulder is about 45 minutes from Denver International in the opposite direction from Castle Rock. Castle Rock is about 45 minutes south, and Boulder is 45 minutes north,
So
which
we
is
made
why
it last year. Yeah,
I'm Boulder.
that'll work. That'll
Hmm.
definitely work. What's next? Gatherings. Laura was talking about wanting to put gatherings together in the next
I
few months.
keep putting that out there, and I keep connecting it to, solstices and equinoxes. So,
How many
there's a
how many
September
gatherings
fall
have you
equinox.
done? How many have you done?
Me personally,
Yeah, you.
four,
Okay. You know,
four.
you could do
Yeah.
three more. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, I know.
You
Right
best
now, I'm
rather.
busy writing the newsletter, and
Right, right.
I'm doing other things for our group.
No problem. No
I
problem.
mean, I would be happy to serve again.
I could do two more myself. I was thinking about getting one set up in this area, maybe. I don't know. I'm open, and I'm like you. I've got my plate kind of full at the moment as well, but it's never too full for a gathering. I did drop everything last year and fly out to Texas to do one. So, no, year before last, excuse me. It was really fun. But as the work that we do ebbs and flows, it always has kind of a up and a down, and we're kind of in that spot right now, right in here, and we're moving towards the up thing. I'd like to see us get there soon, not too much of a valley here. Um, and that's why I brought up gatherings, because gatherings are where the folks are going to start finding out about the stuff that we're actually doing. And I would like to see us do some more writing and possibly videos on what it is that we're doing. Because when we've spoken to a lot of the folks at the events, they don't always know exactly what we're doing, and they're quite surprised at what we're doing. Um, we are basically recreating Eden. We were given Eden to, share and use with one another, and we stopped doing that. If we want it back, there's going to be some work, and it basically is an internal thing. You go inside, you go to the deep dive, and all the teachings the angels have given us over the years is an inward introspective thing. A lot of times we want to take these healing techniques and bring them to our friends and everything before we've had a chance to experience them ourselves in some cases. And the best thing I could suggest is to experience them yourself before you take them off to other folks, and get your chart taken care of before you go working on other people's charts. So anyhow, I'll be creating some stuff in the not so distant future about explaining what it is we're doing and how we're, a lot of the things we did in the past obviously didn't work. So we're going to have to shift gears uh, back to the stretch, learn, grow conversation. We stretch our limitations and or we just stretch ourselves. Limitations are something that the work will remove from you. It's not really heavy on limitations. It's heavy on encouragement and redirecting you to your heart zone and giving you information that you can do what it is that you set out to do. Um, there's a lot of work. The gatherings are important. Most important part of our work is gatherings because that's how you get the people in that'll be able to stand in the formation so that we can get the energy out into the world that needs to happen. Each time we do it, we bring a balance to the world, or we take a few steps towards that. I'd like to take some leaps, possibly a jet plane. But anyhow, we are looking for help in marketing as well as writing, possible artwork, maybe a video person that knows how to put video together, um, possibly a person that could network for us. This is kind of a niche item. It's not something that's mainstream. So our first inkling would to be going into the spiritual world, but it's not just the spiritual world we're looking for. We're looking for everybody, and it's not just one little section of the world. So, stretching out there. When I got gathered, some of the folks that I worked got gathered with, they weren't in the spiritual world; they were in the corporate world. Some folks were in other areas of expertise. It could be anybody, anybody. So that's where we're at with there. What else do you have on your list there, Laura?
Everything's pretty much in the September newsletter.
Okay.
Right now, as far as the 49 sacred herbs, we're still in late summer.
Okay.
October 1st, coming up pretty quick here, will be autumn. And autumn is the only season that stands alone. It doesn't have an early autumn, a late autumn, it's just autumn.
It's just
And then November 1st, there'll be a new calendar, and that's up to me, figure out the new
okay.
calendar. So I'll be doing that soon. I've got a little time.
Okay.
And I post that in the newsletter. So that's where you can find it.
Excellent. Anybody that has a
Uh,
one of the older one of the sacred herb calendar manuals can figure that out. I think I'm going to rewrite it or have it rewritten by someone. And I think it personally, I think the name is confusing. Seven sacred herbs when they talk about 49 different herbs. Um, it would be uh, probably beneficial for us to call it what it actually is. It's sacred herbs for the sevens is what it actually is. It's for us to use on a daily basis. And of course, there's breaks during the month. But what I've noticed in my participation with it is the clarity that you get when you're doing them. Diane has been doing them on a regular basis, and I can see her growing, like watching her grow.
Me too.
What Mike, yeah, you too. I've been watching you grow like a flower like crazy for a few years. Um, but what it's to do is it helps you receive and sustain the energy that is coming in when you balance and tune your chakras, when you do any of the processes, when you use the oils, it helps you accept the oils and the frequencies in such a way that you don't have that kind of a harsh back feel. There's always something that you get this. I don't know what to call it. All I can say is it's like a harsh back feel, or an aftertaste, so to say, if you can compare it. Um, but it helps you bring these things in so that you can receive them as well as sustain them. And you sustain the energies with the oils and the forks. You want to tune your chakras on a regular basis. Nightly would be optimum. Every 40 days, you can do the uh, seven church anointing, which is very beneficial. And each week, you can use the Song of Songs oil on your heart, your throat, and your third eye to sustain the oil's frequencies from whatever you're doing. It also helps keep you balanced. Um, Now, just because it's helping keeping you balanced doesn't mean that you don't want to tune your chakras on a regular basis. The reason why you're using these things on a regular basis is because your body's actually memorizing the frequencies. And at some point in time, we're not going to need these things. You know, one of the suggestion that Michael had was to play with the forks and the oils and see what they do. And as you're learning to use them, you're actually learning how to master them. So if you use them on a regular basis, you can actually master the use of these things. I've been doing this for quite some time. I don't feel that I've mastered the use of any of it, of the items other than mastering the memory of the visits and stuff like that. Um, but there's different oils that help sustain each other, like the Novus Invictus oil. It's very good for, you can use that with any of the oils to help boost that up, along with the Omega fork. Using the Omega fork uh, also aids in the sustaining of those frequencies for more of a period of time. I don't want to say it's better or it's worse. It just, what Michael said was, it helps sustain them. So that's basically where they're at with it. And uh, we're coming up on Novus Invictus. And by the way, I do have the lamps and all the oils that you need for that stuff. I even started carrying the charcoal for the charcoal burners. I needed some, so I ordered a whole bunch. So was gonna include those in
That'll
some of
be in
those
the November
packages.
newsletter since
Yeah,
it's a December process.
yeah, yep. So I've been working on the website, trying to make sure I have all of the oils and tuning forks on the website. If you guys see anything that's not there that you know of, let me know. I'll make sure it gets on there. It's a work in progress. I'm continuously updating and trying to get things smoothed out on the website, porting as much information as I had over on the first Angelic Gate, because I went through the first server for 20 some odd years. I collected a lot of data there, and placing it back onto this new server has been different. So I don't have everything on there I used to have, but I'm adding it as much as possible. I'd like to add more video and stuff like that. I'm also looking for a chat room there, but I think Zoom works pretty darn good because we can record and send it out. So, um, there's something else I wanted to bring up, but I can't remember what it was at the moment. Must not have been that important. uh, Anything else, Laura?
We have a raffle going on. Lisa, I did get your money. You are definitely in. And we have a set of Angel tuning forks, a PSI fork, and a Daha fork. And all of these had belonged to Shirley, who passed away last October. And they made their way to me to, to do whatever. And I'm sure that Cheryl would have been pleased for us to have a raffle in which, we could raise a little money to help with the conference, since she pretty regularly attended conferences. So we have that going on.
Um,
That's all in the September newsletter. I also put a short little survey in there, looking for people's feedback, asking where you'd like to see the conference and, how you can help. And so see what happens with that. Um, it's kind of a lull right now, since we had the conference in June. Once we have a location for next year, then we can really get going with more things, to promote the conference.
yeah.
Um,
And
we
if I can
pretty much open
interject,
up registration as soon as we have, the location.
if I can interject, if you haven't been and you're watching the video and you're tuning in after the chat, if you haven't been to an event in a while, it's not going away. We're going to continue doing the things that Michael has instructed us to do, whether it's three of us in a field or uh, thousands of us. We have the support that we need from the angelic realm. And, one of the things that I noticed in the last visit was Michael said that they were waiting to see what the masters were going to do. And I'm afraid that the masters are waiting to see what the angels are going to do. However, the angels have done quite a bit. We have many years of visits. And, I say this over and over again because it's true. All of the work that you need to know, all of the information that you need to know is in the visits. Now, there are some things in the visits where Michael said to teach them in a class. No problem. I took most of Joe's classes. There's other people that took the classes, and we could clear up that information for you very easily by reaching out to the group. And everybody helping everybody is the idea. One of the things I noticed over the years that we weren't doing is promoting each other, supporting each other. So I would encourage the masters to do that and promote each other. It's not about it's not a big money grab or anything like that. What we're doing is we're looking to create a space where we can have all of these masters come together so we can shift the energy of the planet. And I'm pretty sure that not all of you are very happy with the way things are going on the planet. We have some really major imbalances going on right now. And it's not going to get any better without the masters. As a matter of fact, it could have gotten a lot better if we all came together more, in larger numbers. The larger the number at the event gives the availability for that energy to go out into the world and quite possibly bring the world's leaders to a sanity. I want to say back to sanity, but I don't think they've ever been sane. But, we have the power to alter and shift what's going on out there. And you may be sitting in your home, or somewhere thinking, well, my participation isn't going to do anything. Your participation does everything. You bring an energy to the table that nobody else can bring. And that's what makes you a master because nobody does it like you. So, you know, whether you're brand new, haven't been gathered yet, or you are a seasoned veteran, you've been around for a long time, and you're just, you know, um, waiting for the next angel visit or waiting for the conference to come close to you, or I don't know what you're waiting for. Maybe there's other reasons that are keeping you from it. Doesn't matter to me. It's none of my darn business. Um, I encourage you to participate with the group. We have people out there that are probably going to watch this video that have the availability for the things that we need as a group. And as we come together, I believe those things will fall into place. So, this is not like anything else out there. We try and treat it as if it is just another spiritual group. However, it's not just another spiritual group. There's other types of people that get involved in this other than spiritual people. At one point in time, we've had over 5,000 people gathered. However, the most we've had at an event was 480 at the Yellowstone. And it was my strong opinion then that most of those people were there to see the Native Americans, not really caring what we were doing there. They just wanted to see the phenomenon. It's this whole work in itself is a phenomenon. So if you look at it as a sacred thing and treat it as a sacred thing, not in such a way that, I have to act a certain way or be a certain way, you know, the work teaches you to go through your gifts and your traps. And in order to get to your gift, you go through your trap. And when you get into your trap, how do you get out of it? You use your giftedness. So it teaches you how to balance yourself. So things are going to come up. And a suggestion would be to just watch, see what happens rather than reacting as we've been trained to do, or even responding, which we could train ourselves to do. Just watch and see what happens. Sit back and let your energy settle down, let everything come to pass, and then move forward from there. We always want to look at other people's participation in things when we are not even paying attention to our own participation. It's about how we do our thing so that we can show up for the rest of the world, you know. Um,
One of the things we're looking to do right now is to build momentum again.
mhm.
Um, I put a YouTube video on my Facebook page about a woman who she's a yoga teacher in Chicago, and she wanted to teach yoga on the beach. So she got like about 12 of her friends. She said, "Hey, I'm going to teach a free yoga class on Oak Street Beach on such and such a date early in the morning." So her friends, in support of her, showed up. They had a wonderful time. She did a great job. And she said, "Oh, I'd like to keep doing this." So those friends went home and they told other people. Now, a year later, she's still doing it. Thousands of people are showing up on the beach.
That's another
How's
thing.
that for momentum?
Well, one of the things that I think might
Amazing.
boost, I think that's awesome. One of the things that I think that might make some momentum is for those of us that know these teachings well, share them.
Yes.
The old way of doing things, or the way even before Joe got involved in this, was to teach these classes. We did not have Zoom available. We didn't have YouTube available. We didn't have a lot of things available. Heck, the internet uh, didn't even come into play for a year after he wrote the first book. Maybe 2 years. He wrote it in '94, published '96. So it took, when I met him in '96, the internet was barely a thing. I was getting emails, but I didn't know what it was. You know, we have a lot more technology, and I think one of the things we can do is create some teachings, not our idea of how it should be taught, the way Michael gave it to us so that people out there can have a better understanding of the processes and the reasoning behind it in some cases. So that's something to look at. Um, and once they learn how to use these things, of course, they'll have to obtain them, or they will want to obtain them, so they can. And but the main thing is you know, in my experience of the work, they've been teaching us how to take the pressure off ourselves. And we're really good at putting pressure on ourselves, especially towards as we get closer to the event, we feel a little more pressure about getting more people to go, getting more gatherings, things like that. The whole idea is take the pressure off. And it really encourages you to learn how to allow things to be and to take action when that's available to you. And sometimes all you need is a little courage to take action. And a lot of the work that we're doing gives you that courage, especially when you have your self-esteem boosted by realizing that, hey, you really are all you need to be. You really do make a difference. You know, doesn't matter who you are, everybody can make a difference in the world. So, um, I would suggest we start looking at what it really truly is about. And the bottom line is what it really is about is allowing. It just, if you look at the book of bricks, the first part is see you, the second part is be you, and the third part, which we kind of forget about after the first two, is I by my hand, you know. And it's not just about blessing hearts, it's about being conscious of what's going on around you. You don't have to walk up and tell them, bless your heart. you can send a blessing from your heart without speaking a word. So, I suggest we look at the Book of Bricks, really take the first parts of, the first parts of each book to heart and, relook at them because a lot of times people will, just like the visits, they'll read the visit one time and go, "Oh, I read that." You're not going to remember everything in that visit, especially if it's one from, like 98. They were long, really long, and they were giving information that, heck, even, all of us find out something new each time we read these visits. I'm constantly finding something new. Diane's been able to point out new things to me and, help me to understand a lot of things better just by reading the visits. Um, it's just the best way to do it.
Yeah,
So,
it's reading and rereading,
mhm.
rereading the visits.
Not for anybody else, for you.
You.
This work is not for other people. It's for you. So, a lot of folks work with angels and guides and stuff like that. That's great. When you work with this work, pretend it's the angel talking to you because that's who the angel is talking to, you. So, and me, all at the same time. It's funny. Steve Gibson, way back when, he was around for a little while. He was in the first gathering. He was of the Church of Sardis, and he would always, kind of get an inkling when Michael was going to come for a visit. I kind of have that feeling too. I kind of have a knowingness of when Michael shows up. One of the visits, Joe was saying, "Yeah, next time he tells you you're going to have a visit, ask him to tell you what it was about." Because when Michael talks to Joe, he's talking to all of us. We can tune into it at any time. I'm going to go back to the Michael stating that the angels are waiting to see what the masters are going to do. And for the last 4 or 5 years, the masters have been waiting to see what the angels are going to do. And if you notice, they haven't really done a whole lot of anything other than waited for us to do something with the work that they've given us. There's a ton of processes. There's a ton of lessons. There's a lot of things that can open your heart and your mind in ways that you can just imagine. You know, it's helped me with a lot of the stuff that I wanted to accomplish in my life. And I still have a lot of things that I'd like to accomplish. Last year, if you were at the event, basically instead of sending that energy that we created out into the world, because there really wasn't that much of it, um, we gave it to ourselves. And you can have something in your life that you would like or is missing or something you'd like to work on. I don't care what it is that you chose to embody after the event. It's none of my business. It's not something you want to go sharing with everybody because that's something for you. And yes, the angels are forgiving, and yes, God is forgiving, but why should we use that as an excuse for us not to do the work, for ourselves? We want all of these things in our lives. However, when it comes down to looking at yourself and dealing with your stuff, we kind of fall short. And I don't think that it's something that is a negative. I think that it's a growth issue. You know, um, there was a visit just after we got the wholeness blessing stuff and the seven names of God forks. And Joe woke up in this visit with Michael calling his name, and Michael told him to stand. Joe opens up his eyes and he's in this room, or what he thought was a room. He was in this space. It was all white. That's all he could see was white. And he's laying down as if he was in bed. And Michael told him to stand. And Joe's like, "Well, how do I stand up?" Uh, Michael said, "Stand." "Well, I need to find something to hold on to stand." Michael just simply answered, "Stand." And then Joe started getting upset. And Michael told him the process he was going through. First, frustration, then anger, and then whatever else, blame or something like that. And Joe finally got it in him to stand. And Joe was looking for something outside of himself to help him stand. And Michael was trying to teach him and show him that you're all you need to be. If you choose to stand, you will stand. If you choose to lay down, you will lay down. That's the lesson I got out of it when I read it a couple extra times. I thought that this is a simple lesson in doing what you set your mind to because you can. So what probably happened, most definitely happened, was Joe finally set in his mind that I'm going to stand. And he was able to stand. As frustrating as it was, because in the beginning you don't know what to do. Best place to be in manifestation is I don't know. Anything that has ever become into fruition on our planet has come from I don't know. But it's also come from I got an idea. I want this to be. And then you make it so. I mean, we've got a ton of evidence proving that we are co-creators with the omnipotency and we can do anything we set our minds to. So give the Book of Bricks another shot. Take a look at the Book of Bricks and see where it can lead you to, because all of these things are lessons. Now, one of the more important teachings that Michael gave us, and was one of the first teachings that he gave us, was of the 7 gifts. Remember, you are as one of these churches. You are not the church. You're not like me. I'm as the Church of Pergamum. I'm not the Church of Pergamum. I'm as it. It's a vibration. It's an idea. It's something that I do, and I do it particularly well. And each of you that is watching this is part of one of those vibrations, the 7 vibrations. And nobody's like you in these things. You are it. You're the one that gets to be in that
Ooh.
giftedness whenever it is that you decide you want to be. Go ahead, Diane.
Oh, did you hear that?
I know. I could hear you. I could hear you before the speaker went on. I love it when this happens because sometimes we get some good stuff.
Right. Yeah. We are each of us is as of a church.
As the church, as the Church of Pergamum, as the Church of Thyatira or Smyrna.
Right.
The other thing
That's our gift. That is our gift. However, when you do the anointing church angel process for the 7 days and then you wait 40, what that's doing is bringing you into the gift of the other churches without their traps. So therefore, you are also able to move into any of those gifts of the other churches. So
without the benefit of the trap.
Without the benefits of the traps. Now, you could technically say you are a rainbow, but you're like with Pergamum.
We're not going in that direction.
Yeah.
Point, but yeah, that's come up before.
But you are. Yeah. Everyone says, people are like, well, I think I'm a rainbow, because and you can actually see yourself.
You are
doing things in everything. And you can also see some of the traps of some of the other churches that you do also. However, with the angel anointing process, it gives you the ability to step into a leadership or research and development, or the Thyatira with the bringing the beauty, the
creation,
whole 9 yards,
music, whatever.
So everything you can move through. You can be a healer, but you're, as of the Church of Pergamum. Oh, is that right? As of the church?
As the Church of Pergamum.
As the Church of Pergamum, or
it's
as
like when Michael said,
whatever.
It's you're serving our Lord as such, basically.
Right. Whatever position you get into.
Yeah, when Joe asked Michael, so you are Michael, and Michael answered, I have served our Lord as such.
Right. Yeah, my point I'm trying to make though is like
you're serving our Lord as such. Okay. However, once you were created in that position, you will always remain in that position.
Right.
You
That
can
is your
ebb and
gift.
flow, you can learn and grow, you can, stretch and whatever, you can
Right.
stay
But
where
people,
you're at or
yeah,
you can move forward. It's up to
but
you.
what I'm saying, I don't want people to think they have to uh confine themselves to the church that they are
Mm, okay.
of or as.
Yeah. Well,
And
what I was
so
bringing that up about, bringing that up for was for those of you watching, it's one thing to memorize your giftedness or the church that you are as. Like most people can talk about the gift that they carry. When it comes to knowing about the other gifts and how they work, sometimes we fall short a little bit. It would be wise to really read the seven gifts until you have a memory of them, what they do. Um, and remember, not everything that somebody does is etched in stone, poured in concrete. Um, we can be of any type of job application or personality or whatever. Each of us have our unique way of showing up in those vibrations, is what I'm saying.
right.
It's not, it's like one year we had, Joe and Robbie were discussing payoff at one of these events. I'm not going to say which one. And Robbie says, "Oh, we need to get a green involved." So they went and grabbed this guy who's of the Church of Sardis. Um, by the way, talking about it as the colors is just going to confuse the people we're trying to teach this stuff. So if you learn the seven names, you can talk about it that way. And then when they ask you about what that means, you can tell them. All right. So they go and find this guy of Sardis. However, he's not an accountant. He fixes computers. And they think they need someone of the Church of Sardis to help them with the negotiation of the price. However, they weren't counting the beans, they were spending the beans. That's when you want to get someone of the Church of Ephesus in to negotiate, or even Smyrna. Anybody can negotiate. That was the thing they were missing. They wanted someone of this particular vibration to be able to do this particular thing. But it was my opinion that it was probably the job of an Ephesian, which my brother Brian could have stepped into that position and negotiated a wonderful settlement. I have him do that for me quite often. When I go to buy anything and it's a negotiable thing, I don't particularly negotiate it 100% of the time. There's a percentage of the time I get my brother involved. He thinks differently than I do. And he's of the Church of Ephesus, and that's what they do is they get people to see it your way. So I have to call Convincing John every once in a while. For those of you that are Fraggle Rock fans, Convincing John with the Ephesian in that show. But anyhow, I'm just trying to give an example of how we put ourselves in these little boxes. And if we just get outside of that box and we learn the other giftednesses of the other vibrations, because that's what they are. They're not a building. They're not the land of. It's a vibration that you carry and you hold and sustain. Whether you choose to, whether you choose to or not, that's who you are and where you're coming from and go to is. So learning the churches is very important. And I've asked for the last 5 or 6 years at the event how many people can name all of the churches off without looking, and I only see 3, maybe 4 hands go up in a crowd of people. So that tells me there's something that we've missed. So when we're teaching this, don't just try and figure out their giftedness, and for God's sake, don't tell them what their gift is. Let them trip over it themselves, no matter how long it takes. Let them have victory over their gift. In the past, it was uh, we thought it appropriate to help people figure out their gifts. Yes, go ahead and help them, but when it goes to telling them what their gift is, don't do that. Just let them discover it. So much more meaningful. And the same goes for all the other stuff. We embody these things. Don't pick up this beautiful piece of treasure that you were just given and try and hand it to someone else. Look at what it is. Find out what you can do with it. And then as you learn with this, other people will start becoming interested in what's going on with you. And then they're going to go, hey, what are you doing that's different? That's when you whip it out. That's when you bring it out and you go, look, give them the website, give them the book, give them the teachings. I don't care what it is that you do. Share with them the stuff, and then they get to choose whether they carry it or not. And it's okay if they do, and it's okay if they don't. So, and the same goes with my suggestion for you. It's okay if you do, and it's okay if you don't. Or as Joe would say, I'm on your side if you do it. And if you don't do it, I'm on your side. Because that's where we truly are. We've got each other. Once we have ourselves, obviously, we can have our own back, and then it's easier to have everybody else's too. You know, be there when you can. But first, be there for you. There's that. Uh, Anybody got anything else to contribute? Karen, I see you sort of hanging out there in the wings. You got anything to throw in, kid? There you are.
Well, there were people walking around behind me and stuff. I
Okay.
thought it would be too
Well,
much
you
of a
got the
distraction.
you got the earth behind you now.
I do. And the dogs are going crazy sometimes. So I just,
I'm surprised Zoe isn't barking. Okay.
well, I have been trying to do this seven sacred herbs. I didn't quite understand it, but now I got it. So um I because I couldn't figure out what was really going on, but it came to me. And I actually, for me, I'm gonna create, and I already started to create a way to check things off like on a daily basis when you're in each uh, season. Because if I don't write it down or check it off, then I don't remember I did it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to once I do that, I'll send it to you and let you see what that looks like. And
Okay.
if anybody wants to use something, if they need that kind of a tool, for me, it's helpful to like have all the herbs and then all the days, and then I know, okay, 7 days. Did I take this? Did I take that? Did I take this? I need to check them off.
Karen,
Yes.
Laura can certainly help you out with that. She's already put out um, for your specific church a list of all the herbs and the months and the weeks that it's appropriate for. And so just get with Laura, and she can. I think she has it on her web. She can just email a copy of it to you.
Right.
It's got
I
all of the,
do have a list. I had the list because we've gotten it at the last couple of conferences. But what I mean is when I go to the list and I see there's these seven herbs that are mental herbs that I take on whatever season I'm in, um, I have to remember that I've taken those every day. And for me, I need a little more
Oh,
structure with that.
right.
I mean, I know what the herbs are. I have them, but now I need to like be able to check off that I did it every day.
Oh,
You
little
know,
calendar. Yeah,
yeah, like a little. It's just going to be like a little a box that'll
right,
have the herbs across the top and the days across, down the bottom, and then with little boxes so that each
right,
day I will check off I did all these things. At the end of the day, I can look and see, did I miss something? Did I
right,
get them all? That sort of thing. So
right. And you take them in, like I just lay out all seven on the table. I walk over and I say the little blessing, and then I just start build. And it's basically, you're building the gate with each starting from the top herb, working your way down to the seventh herb,
okay.
and I just line them up just like that. Just like it is on the list. Number one goes, to the left. Number two, and you work your way to the right, or down on the calendar that you got or the list that you got. You just work your way down. Like mine is like barley, then hops, then something, 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 and you take those in order each night. So I know this week I am doing these 7 herbs. I have them laid out on the table, go right on down the line.
By the way,
Mm.
you can incorporate these things into meals.
Yeah, see, I've been doing more of the meal thing.
Yeah, and then
So
helper
taking,
herbs.
laying them out on the table, especially with the people in my house,
Uh,
things could get moved or switched around and that sort of thing. For me, like in the morning, if it's I need date, I need raspberry, I need myrrh, rice, licorice. I mean, rice for me, I would rather eat that with a meal instead of just eating it, for just
right.
just out of the blue.
Yeah, no,
So,
licorice you can get in tea. You can get in, I bought
well,
licorice.
Right.
I got licorice that is gluten free and it has some licorice root in it. And so I was like, yeah, I can do that because it has licorice root in there. So,
It grows all over the place too.
oh, does it?
Yeah, it looks kind of like a fennel,
Oh,
very similar to
I don't
fennel.
know. I've not ever really seen licorice root. So,
It's well, the plant itself is a bladey tree with I want to say the seeds are in the stalk. It's hard to explain. It's kind of like a baby's breath. Kind of looks like a baby's breath. You break it open, it smells like licorice. It's yummy. But
I do have something to say about
fennel.
when you're starting to do these processes, along even with the sacred herbs and everything. I noticed that I was faithfully doing my herbs and some of the processes, and I kept finding myself getting like into an agitated state, easily, agitated and stuff. And I was like, well, this must be because my vibrations are raising, which is attracting uh negative, I guess you would say negative vibrations. And when I realized that, it's like, okay, when I started to get agitated or angry for no reason, I would stop and I would say to myself, you have a choice. Because I would ask myself, why am I getting so angry? I'm doing all these herbs and processes. I'm supposed to be chilling out. And then it's like, well, you have a choice. And whenever I said that to myself, it stopped it. It's like, okay, well, I can choose to be chilled out or I can choose to be angry, agitated, whatever. And it actually stopped the anger and agitation. Just like you have a choice. So that's something
Takes
to remember
practice.
when you're doing these processes and things like this and doing the herbs, which is very much needed to hold the vibrations. You're going to find yourself getting, you know, well, I did find myself getting agitated, for no reason. I thought I was supposed
The,
to be, well, I'm supposed to
the
be
angel
good
said it ain't gonna
sailing.
be easy.
Right. So,
It's not all about
it's just
rainbows and
something to,
butterflies.
yeah, keep in mind. Keep in mind if you find yourself, uh, in that state of mind after you've been doing all this stuff that's supposed to promote peace and love and harmony within yourself, and it doesn't, then it presents the opportunity for you to say to yourself, I get to choose which one I want to be. So keep that in mind if when things aren't going too well.
One of the things that I learned when I was living in Montana was how to receive the keys when you're ready. And the thing I did to help me become ready, which I didn't know I was doing, was to become grateful, not of the things that were working in my life. I decided to become grateful for the things that weren't working in my life, everything that wasn't working, anything I could think of. But of course, I did acknowledge and give gratuity to, mother, father, the grandmother, the grandfather, the brothers, the sisters, all of that stuff. Give gratuity to all of the things that are in your life, but pay particular attention to the things that are not going the way you wish they were going and be grateful for it and watch how things start moving. it's not an instant anything. None of this is instant, by the way. There are some folks that have been involved with this and they wanted instant gratification, and it takes some work, and they were severely disappointed in not getting to see an angel or getting to be instantly healed and stuff like that. Nobody ever said it was going to be that way. What Michael did say was it's going to take work, and work actually comes from the word worship, which is a labor of love. So that little side note there. Anyhow, like I said earlier, and Diane backed it up with saying, I'm doing this stuff and I'm starting to get agitated and, frustrated or whichever. You can let that go into anger or resentment if you want, but those aren't going to bring you anywhere. And that's why that's
Can
the
I
deep
share
dive.
something here?
Hang on one second. That's the deep dive, is going into that anguish, that anxiety, and that anger and all that stuff. That's the deep dive they're looking to help you see that you can overcome. Yes, Lisa. Elicia.
Um, I
I'm just
I
going to
have
start calling you guys "suh." So one and so two.
um I have another uh view of what you were sharing, Diane, and that is I have a friend who's pregnant and going through the initial cleanse, which sometimes shows up as morning sickness, etc. But there's also an emotional cleanse that she's going through. And I think some of what that irritability and stuff is that cleanse happening from within.
That's good. Yeah, that makes sense. And it also makes sense where Dave was talking about being grateful for things. It sparked something in my brain. It's like, I'm grateful I have a choice. So that, whenever I was talking about I have a choice to be angry or not, now I look at that as, hey, I'm grateful now that I'm aware and I can make a choice.
Well,
It's not like it was taken away from me. Thanks, Dave, for that.
the
Grateful.
universe responds very much like we do. Um, we respond well to calm. We respond well to thankful people. We respond well to easy to get along with. We always throw up our hand when there's a little bit of friction or stuff that you have to go through. Learning how to allow those things to go through and work their course and see what's really going on. Because usually when you're experiencing someone having those things happen, you're not experiencing that person. You're experiencing the circumstances that are surrounding that person in that moment.
Mm.
Generally, those moments last anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. After that, you start choosing to be in it. And sometimes when we're not taught that we can choose to get out of it, we don't know that we can, and we continue it. And then we become willing participants in it. So we can also become willing participants in our calmness and our relaxed atmosphere. It's not always going to be calm and relaxed. Nietzsche said, out of chaos comes order. Sometimes, when an artist is going to paint, they have to mix their paints, and it looks pretty chaotic, but there's nothing wrong. They're just mixing the paint. And someone who doesn't know what they're looking at may see that chaos and get plugged into it and go, oh my God, this, that, and the other, they're all smeared together, or this, that, you know, stop, step back, relax. Sometimes it is noble to be upset with something if you see, something that really deserves that much of your time, in order for a certain amount of change to come about. But, like Michael was saying in one of the visits, violence and anger can bring change very swiftly, but so can rational thinking. And not just thinking about your own circumstance, looking past what's going on and see what may be going on. Because anger basically lasts anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. And you can learn to surf that 15, 20, 12, 10 to 15 seconds and come out of it okay, not get crashed in the wave of the anger that follows shortly after. So,
Okay, I have another question.
okay.
We're doing the tuning forks every day, Lisa and I, for the chakras, and I'm not remembering which ones to use for the other than the 7.
Okay. Do you have the chart? Do you have the tuning manual?
I don't know that I do.
Okay, I can
And
get
she's
you one.
talking about the 4 forks, the Metatron, Michael, Shekinah.
Well, you can use 2 of each of the other forks, and it tells you on the chart which
Oh.
2 forks to use.
That's a little difficult for my hands to coordinate.
Okay.
I get it. Do you have the Tree of Life set?
The Tree of Life set.
That's the ones with all the angel names on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's talking about the 4 forks.
I know.
The-
I know.
okay.
So the Shekinah goes in the Omega fork, or the Omega position. The Metatron goes in the Alpha. The Sandalphon goes to the Terra, which is between the calves and the knees.
Okay.
And the last but not least one is Michael, and it goes right above the crown and the Metatron, the Omega.
So
Give me a call.
again.
Give me a call later, tomorrow, the next day, and or I can email you if that's easier for you. I can write it out for you.
That would be wonderful.
And that's one of the videos I'm going to be doing. See, this is one of the things that I was thinking about when I was, I'm like thinking to myself, how do we get these teachings out there in an efficient manner? And looking back at how the classes went for Joe and the gang back then, there weren't a whole lot. And, really the main thing we need is a little nudge, and we can start figuring this stuff out too. So I'm thinking, if there's anybody out there that knows how to do that video stuff, get in touch with me because I got some stuff I want to do. If not, I'll muddle through and figure it out myself. But I find it to be important to be able to get the teachings out there in such a way that people can do it, whether you're going to get gathered or not, whether you're going to come to the event or not. This work is for everybody. You don't have to, you get to. There's no anything really. There's no rules. And we wanted rules at one point in time. And the rules they gave us was be open to whatever teachings come your way. We're first, don't believe anything you hear or see. And take from what teachings come your way and leave the rest for later. Set the stuff aside that doesn't work for later. Those are the rules. It's like I was saying, the whole idea of this is to take the pressure off. There's no time limit, obviously, because we've already done the gate in the US. And Michael said we could have, if we kept the momentum up from Yellowstone, that we can have Eden in 2 short years of our time. And we've way far surpassed that time by probably 16, 17 years. We can still have it. Just again, it's up to the masters. And like Michael said in the last visit, they're waiting to see what we're going to do. It's no longer time for us to wait to see what the angels are doing. They gave us all the cards. They gave us all the combinations. Now we got to see what we want to do with it. So we're pretty lucky kids.
Namaste.
It could be a lot more fun though. I'm looking for that day.
Okay.
That
I'm out
kid.
of here.
Yeah, we're coming up on a little over the hour, and I don't really see anything else other than, thank you guys for your participation. Thank you, Laura, for putting everything together for us and the newsletter. Oh, before I go, if you receive the newsletter, we're getting a new newsletter coming from Angelic Gate. You don't need to re-sign up for it because if you're on there already, I got you. But if you want to sign up for our newsletter, go to angelicgate.com and sign up there. And then I'll send you out some links in the newsletter for your friends to be able to sign up if they want them. And then that's that. All right. As always, my blessings, my gifts, and my deeds are of you. Nanu, nanu.
Good night, everybody.
Bless your hearts.